far right, alt-right, neo-Nazis, white supremacists. They are groups of hate. They're hate groups. Hate groups support Donald Trump. Hate groups support Donald Trump for President of the United States of America. Donald Trump is the preferred candidate of hate groups. Hate groups have been on the wrong side of history time and time again. History has proven this through the clarity of hindsight. Donald Trump is the candidate of hate. Recently, I wanted to have an opinion on this death of a transgender teen, which was first reported to me as a possible hate crime. But before I was able to personally condemn this as a hate crime and condone the attackers for their actions, I still felt the need to do more research. I didn't have to research whether I was against the crime or not. That's not what I'm researching. I need to find out if a crime actually happened. For me to bring someone to trial, I need to prove a crime was committed. And so I dug a little deeper. Even a few days after the attack, the complete story has yet to be revealed. And I haven't been able to confirm if a hate crime actually occurred. I had to wonder, though, how many people formed an opinion immediately upon hearing the words death, transgender, and teen. I know I did. I immediately felt compassion for one side and began to create an enemy to focus my anger on. I personally made a commitment to follow up on this story until I find the truth. That's a personal choice that's going to take some homework. It's going to take some reading. It's going to take some research. It's going to take following up. Patience until all the facts of the story are in, which could take weeks. These days, with the state of the current media, a citizen who wants to be completely informed, they have to have discipline to fact check and follow up on nearly everything they're presented with. The process is exhausting. Trust me, I know. I don't blame you. I don't blame the majority of people for taking the path of least resistance and just getting told everything. But who's right? Who is right? What's right? What does right even look like these days? At the base of a mountain, all you would see is incline. It's only from the top that you see the whole world. So how do we see the view from the top now? Most information the average person gets is already pre-filtered. Most people use Google to get the answer and YouTube to get the explanation. But the companies are the same. Facebook, Instagram. Disney's woke, but they own Fox. The news that reaches the average citizen is not uncovered. It has been allowed to be seen by the public. It's been allowed to be seen by you. So, what do we believe? Who do we believe? Who do we trust? Who's right? Who's wrong? Sometimes the truth is a little hard to come by. Sometimes it takes years. Sometimes it takes decades for the truth to be revealed. Sometimes the full story remains a mystery. But until we know the fate of the truth, how are we to know the true path? Well, they say hindsight is 20/20. In a way it is. It gives us time to process, time to look back, time to determine whether the right path was taken, and an opportunity to correct future mistakes. Because history is shown to repeat itself, and those who don't learn from it are doomed to repeat it. So what if it were possible to have hindsight today? What if we could be sure to land on the right side of history moving forward? With all the news outlets and all the information sources, how will I know if I'm getting the facts needed to make the right decision on the issues that are dividing society apart? I personally want to be part of the solution, not the problem. And I think you might feel the same way. So, one of the most polarizing issues, if not the most polarizing issue, for United States citizens currently is politics. Liberals versus conservatives, Democrats versus Republicans, and unfortunately it boils down to the simplicity of Biden versus Trump. And Trump. for President of the United States of America. How old? Let's see. Real quick math. Let's see. What did I say? 81 plus 74. What is that? 155. What did I say? 150? 156? 165? Either way.
Yeah, it's
155. 155. You could say, oh, well, that's 155 years worth of experience. It's also like, yeah, but I don't know. Do you really need to be making decisions for people in their 20s when you have 155 years between you? Oh my God, that's disgusting. Where was I at? So how do we know who history will name as the right choice? Today, I plan on talking about the right side of history. I hope to show that there has been a common evil force at the center of some of the worst atrocities over the past few hundred years. This hideous sway has had many different faces, many different names, and many different causes over the centuries, but the clear vision of hindsight has proven their fight to be on the wrong side of history time and time again. I will hypothesize that this heinous group not only thrives in the modern world, but that this movement of hatred has a clear choice for their candidate of president of the United States of America. Today, I hope to prove that no matter where you stand on the political spectrum, between the two choices we have been given for president, one person is clearly the wrong candidate and on the wrong side of history. And although there may not be a best candidate or a better candidate, there is clearly a right choice on the right side of history. Oh yeah, this is the safety meeting. I am Johnny White, aka Westside, and this is the show. We haven't even started the theme music yet. Where's my theme music?
In the summer, lighting up, she's smoking trees. Only daughter of a man she hasn't seen, and there's no real one emotion. She can't say what she needs. First second she hates you, then she's horny. Baby, stay with me, please. She can't imagine staying a night here by herself. Lord have mercy, cause all her guys, they go through hell. Taking your phone, she'll hope to moan and then put back on your shelf. But fuck it, she's crazy and I love it, and I want her myself. Same was hard with your day, with your night. You opened the door and your man walked out. He said he got tired of the games you play. Never give it some thought, by the death you stay. Feeling some ground with the feet, with the fall. Got your ear to the phone, but your man won't call. Have a Superman pose with a brand new cape. Probably give me some love and I'm on my way. I'm on my way, wait. 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 Stuck in your vitamin. You said you got some big surprise.
That was On My Way by singer-songwriter Steel Fawn, and this is the safety meeting. Before we get back to the thesis of the day, I'd like to digress for a moment and talk a little bit about what the safety meeting is and how it came about. The safety meeting is an inside joke. It started as an inside joke here on the channel. It was started by our very own Dr. GTI. It was code word for taking a 420 break while at work, preferably at work. It's been a delightful way to say I'm taking a smoke break, sometimes with the other members or riders, and sometimes people from all over the world taking a smoke break at the same time. Like, how cool is that, right, man? Yeah, man, it's so cool, man, smoking with someone in Canada. I am Johnny White. I've been a writer and performer, but during COVID, my path led me to be a YouTube streamer. I began streaming by doing commentary for a stock and crypto channel under the name Westside. Shout out to the Bulldog Trading channel. I've since tried to find a way to combine my passion for writing, comedy, social justice, and political advocacy and create an entertaining and informative show. Something I could be really proud of. I'm from the school of Dave Chappelle. I'm from the church of George Carlin. Weekend Update, Daily Show, last week with John Oliver. Those have been some of the most respected newsmakers I've witnessed in the past decade. And I really look up to those guys, and especially with all the scandal and bias plaguing the modern mainstream media landscape, I figure the best bet I have to do some good in society at the moment in history is to use my talents and resources to create this show, The Safety Meeting, with Westside, me. So here's how it's going to go down. Okay, here's how it's going to go down. All right, I'll come up with the topic of the day. I'll do my homework. I'll offer personal thesis on that. Whatever topic we tackle, you could even give me topics to tackle. Give me topics to tackle. Hopefully, I could give you a logical, compassionate, and well thought out opinion that itself would end up on the right side of history. But before I conclude the thesis, I'll introduce myself and the show, and I'll play my theme music, and I'll do the news, or at least my version of the news, this channel's version of the news, which you'll see shortly. We'll do a callback to the big story, take a little break, shout out sponsors and supporters. We'll come back with a more lighthearted story before wrapping it all up. Huh? All right. So with that being said, this is our version of the news. The news is a term that has taken a beating from me today. So how would I even intend to tell you what I consider the news? It's just a matter of opinion. What story matters to what person is subjective. We can't plug into the matrix and have every story uploaded into our brain. So we have to pick and choose the stories that we take time to learn about. So what becomes the parameters for news that we give ourselves? Internationally, regionally, locally, or the news that pertains to my race, religion, heritage? The information you need may be different than the information I need to navigate throughout life. So what makes the cut? I'm not going to be another talking head regurgitating stories that I haven't personally fact-checked. And I don't have the time or resources to fact-check every single story personally. And we can't be sure the stories we're even given are truth or just like propaganda. Repeating the wrong story could make you part of the problem. And I want to take any precautions to not end up on that wrong side of history. So, this is the Safety Meeting. I'm Westside, and these are the facts. Today's date is February 29, 2024. It is a leap day which occurs every 4 years. Unless it's divisible by 100, then it's not a leap year. Unless it's divisible by 400, in which case it is a leap year. However, due to the precession of the equinoxes, which is not constant, and the movement of the perihelion, which affects the Earth's orbital speed, we still end up with an average error of 1 day every 7,700 years. So eat it, 9724, piss off, wanker! The Earth's population currently sits at 8.1 billion residents, and the population of the United States is 336 million by itself. There are currently 8 international armed conflicts, or IACs, on the planet Earth, and over 114 non-international armed conflicts, NIACs. In the Middle East and North Africa, there are over 45 ongoing conflicts. The majority of conflicts are NIACs involving armed, non-state actors and foreign interventions by Western powers, Russia, and other neighboring countries. Syria is the most affected country by far in the region, with various arms group and militias versus the government, and those same arms group versus each other. There are currently 2 military occupations and 3 current IACs in Syria. The continent of Africa, excluding North Africa, is home to over 35 armed conflicts, while Asia currently has 21 armed conflicts, with 2 of those being IACs. India and Pakistan has been going on for many years, but remains mostly at a stalemate with only minor border skirmishes. India versus China is another IAC, with countries contesting the Kashmir region, with skirmishes taking place in 2020 and 2021. In 2022, China began to withdraw troops from the area, but still controls 20% of that hotly contested region. Europe currently has 7 armed conflicts, with the most being connected to the IAC of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. South America, there are 6 armed conflicts, 3 in Mexico, 3 in Colombia. Colombia has been experiencing one of the longest conflicts in modern times. Colombia has been in conflict since the mid-1960s. and Mexico's current NIACs are related to drug cartels. This is the first time in history that the Geneva Academy has classified armed violence involving organizations as NIACs. And they did so given the level of organization of the cartels and the intensity of violence. That's a quote from Dr. Chiara Radali. Conflicts in Mexico are between two major cartels, the Jalisco cartel and the Sinaloa cartel, being one conflict itself, with the government of Mexico versus each in separate conflicts. The United States gross domestic product is roughly $28 trillion. The United States debt is $34 trillion, both number one in the world. Just to let you know, the gross domestic product, that's a total of all the goods and services that United States has to offer. It's the value, the total value of the United States. We are number one in the world at $28 trillion. We are also number one in the world in debt at $34 trillion. And those were the facts. All stats and research for today's show have been gathered from the most accurate and reputable sources available, and they are free use by the public. Sources include Amnesty International, the Geneva Academy, the Armed Conflicts Location and Event Data Project, or ACLED, and economic data is pulled from usdebtclock.org. All sites that I urge everyone to research on their own. As for other media and news that are part of the data monster that makes this show, they include many different sources, even sources I shit on personally, all get some sort of representation as I do my personal research to make informed opinions. Sources include, but not limited to, democracynow.org, Harper's Magazine, The Atlantic, Scientific American, National Geographic, Inside with Jen Psaki, Meet the Press, NBC News Nightly with Lester Holt, Good Morning America, Fox and Friends, The Five, Public Broadcasting Systems, and a special shout out and thanks to the entire Ken Burns documentary catalog. Woo! So the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, or ACLED, is the leading source of real-time data on political violence and protest activity around the world. They're a disaggregated data collection, analysis, and crisis mapping project. ACLED collects data on the dates, actors, locations, fatalities, and all types of reported political violence and protest events from all over the world. ACLED makes all their data and analysis open for free use by the public. That's what brings me to the main story. Because as I was doing research and reading published analysis on ACLED's website, good times, I found their conflict watch list for 2024. Among 10 conflicts listed to watch for this upcoming year, and few were a surprise, since many were already IACs that we're all familiar with: Gaza, Yemen, Ukraine. Yet, I was surprised to see my country, United States of America, as a place considered a hotspot for unrest in the upcoming year. I mean, I get it. Like I said in the beginning, the world seems in disarray. Many feel the need to restore it to its former glory. Ironically enough, it's the inner faction of this country that wants to make it great again, that has international observers sending out sharp warnings of escalations in domestic terrorism, far-right extremism, and LGBTQ plus motivated hate crimes. The ACLED notes in its article that Donald Trump has all but a lock on the Republican nomination, despite being indicted in 4 separate criminal cases, including charges of election fraud. They also note President Biden as being the oldest president in U.S. history, and an approval rating of under 50% for over 2.5 years as catalysts for volatility this next election. Other factors include the evidence of far-right activity that peaked in the lead-up to the 2020 election, which culminated in the riots inside the United States Capitol building on January 6, 2021. You remember those. There's concern that election conspiracies, claims of voter fraud, and election-related far-right organizing may present challenges to the country's domestic security, as they did around the 2020 election. All I kept thinking is, my country ended up on the list of world conflicts? Like, my country is one of the countries that the international community is concerned about? My country is being mentioned in the same breath as places with active wars. Like, I'm about to be a father, you know? Am I living somewhere that has the potential to be Syria, Yemen, Ukraine? How bad is the current situation here? How bad is it going to get? I'm sure our wildest imaginations could take us to how bad it could actually get. But compared to other countries, like, we seem stable enough, right? We could still order a pizza. There's no bombs going off in the background. No airstrikes. So how delicate is this balance? How delicate is this situation? Well, according to experts and the most reputable organizations, the problem within the United States is quite clear. It's white supremacy, aka far-right extremism. Which brings me to the thesis of the day. There is unfortunately one clear choice for President of the United States of America, and I say unfortunate because our choices are terrible to begin with. And that's part of the larger problem to be addressed by this country. But the clear choice for president would be the candidate who's not supported by a constituency of hate. There is clearly one man who is the absolute wrong candidate for the job. Former President Donald Trump is overwhelmingly supported by far-right extremists, white supremacists, neo-Nazis, and American insurrectionists. He's clearly the wrong candidate and should be considered completely unfit to fill the job of President of the United States of America. And unfortunately, the 81-year-old, low approval having, born in 1942 Joe Biden is the only candidate for a rational, logical, patriotic, non-racist, non-fascist, non-extremist United States citizen in the year 2024. There shouldn't be much doubt that this movement has been the integral force in some of the most regrettable acts of the past few centuries. There's a lot. But most people know the hits, the classics, you know, them good old-timey atrocities. The Atlantic slave trade, the Civil War, the Holocaust, and World War II. And of course, the treatment and occupation of Native Americans. Bing, bing. This guy. Those are just the main ones. But there's those great B-sides too. Don't forget, huh? Like segregation, the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the assassination of Fred Hampton, and that super recent South African apartheid, which ended 1 year before I graduated high school. Look it up. Astonishingly enough, I've heard arguments or the defense that white people white people were enslaved by other white people too. And that Africans enslaved other Africans. And that, you know, they captured and traded slaves. Look, nearly every culture has had a hand in some form of slavery or capture of fallen opponents. Can't use that as an argument. We held on to the practice much longer than we should have for an evolved nation of free thinkers. It lasted that long because one group of human men believed that they were better and more evolved than another group of men and women. I've heard the argument about states' rights in reference to the reasons behind the Civil War. States just wanted the rights to make their own laws on slavery and not be controlled by a federal government, but it was about slavery. The issue of slavery had been contested since the Declaration of Independence. The southern states used the issue of slavery not expanding to the western territories as the reason for their secession from the United States. Once again, one group of human men believed that they were better and more evolved than another group of men and women. I don't think much of an argument needs to be made that the Holocaust and World War II are directly the cause of white supremacy, namely Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. The Nazi Party, that rager. Some people will make the argument that it was the Treaty of Versailles that punished Germany too harshly, forcing them to accept all the guilt for World War I including seceding 25,000 square miles of territory, as well as being financially responsible for all the losses and the damages for everyone involved in the war. The crippled German economy and defeated people quickly gave rise to the Nazi Party, who were so terribly white supremacist that they literally wanted to genetically make a supreme white race. Not only were the Nazis classically racist against people of color, but they also hated other white people, including Slavic, Polish, and of course Jewish peoples. In fact, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party were so anti-Semitic that the Second World War also spawned the Holocaust. I hate spin-offs, personally. Which was the systematic genocide of many peoples, the majority of them Jewish human beings, less than 100 years ago. 6 million human beings were killed because one group of human men believed that they were better and more evolved than another group of men and women. You seeing the trend here? As for those Native Americans, well, I could probably make a whole separate video on that topic alone from my thoughts and my personal experiences. But I will say that when my family members were taken from their homes on the reservation and brought to the boarding school, where they were not allowed to speak their native tongue, where they were forced to attend Western schools, practice Christianity, and they were stripped of their original names and renamed. Ironically enough, my family was renamed White. So much suffering and unresolved problems that continue still because one group of human men believed that they were better and more evolved than another group of men and women. The ACLED research goes on to say that the final year of Trump's presidency saw elevated far-right activity with its highest levels in November 2020 and a second spike in January 2021 amidst Trump's unsubstantiated claims of voter fraud. The majority of these far-right groups are explicitly in support of Donald Trump. If you're a conscious, logical, free-thinking United States citizen and patriot, then please listen to that sentence again. The majority of these far-right groups are explicitly in support of Donald Trump. Additionally, far-right groups participated in just over a fifth of Stop the Steal demonstrations supporting Donald Trump's claims that the election was stolen between November 2020 and January 2021, and they participated in over 90% of demonstrations that turned violent, culminating in the January 6th riots. I've heard people defend Donald Trump in many different ways. His indictments played off as political witch hunts, his ignorance excused as being faked, and his bigotry as a sign of masculinity. But I don't know anyone who can honestly tell me that Joe Biden has the far right, white supremacist, or neo-Nazi vote. If you really think about it, is there any contingent that exists anywhere that is far right and supports Joe Biden? Like the far right Joe Biden supporter, think about it. Like it doesn't even exist. Even saying it sounds ridiculous. Say it for yourself, seriously. Say the white supremacist Joe Biden movement. It's weird because no one said it before. Even when you try to Google it, the main thing that pops up are Joe Biden's comments that white supremacy is the greatest threat to American democracy. So, is that enough? Is that enough for you? Is that one sentence enough to pick the better candidate? The majority of far-right groups explicitly support Donald Trump. Far-right, alt-right, neo-Nazis, white supremacists. They are groups of hate. They're hate groups. Hate groups support Donald Trump. Hate groups support Donald Trump for President of the United States of America. Donald Trump is the preferred candidate of hate groups. Hate groups have been on the wrong side of history time and time again. History has proven this through the clarity of hindsight. Donald Trump is the candidate of hate. If you support Donald Trump for president, you are willingly attempting to give control of the United States to a candidate who is openly supported by hate groups. You're willing to give the power of the United States over to the same foe we defeated in the Civil War and the Second World War. So what was it worth? What was it for? Every soldier that died fighting in those wars, what was it worth? If we simply forfeit everything we fought and gave it to the same political force that we've been fighting for centuries, just handed over the keys. The United States of America has not been perfect from its inception. We strive to be a more perfect union. It has changed for the better, sometimes not fast enough, and sometimes not with the best resolution for all parties involved, but it is a great fucking country, all right? Trust me. This coming from a Native American. I love this country, and it's a great country. Nothing's perfect, and there's a lot of work to do. And eventually, with the right leaders and active citizens like you and me, we can continue to make those changes and evolve as a nation. Now, let's face it. You can still drink the water, okay? That's a big thing. You can drink the water and you don't get sick. You can mail a letter anywhere for a stamp. And as Aesop Rock says, you can buy a jet ski on a cell phone from a jumbo jet. And you don't go to jail for criticizing the president. Yet. My name is Johnny White, aka Westside, and this is the safety meeting. I'll be right back with something else. All right, it's at this moment I'd like to thank some of the people that have supported me and this channel for over 2 years now. Thank you. Thank you, all of you who may have supported me in any way. The friendships and bonds I have made with the humans I have met through this channel have been amazing. You've all given me new breath of creativity, and I hope you enjoy this new content that I endeavor to create. I promise to give you the best content that I possibly can. Thank you to those folks who have supported this channel from the get-go. Thank you to the Riders. That's what we call the Riders. That's what we call. Thank you first and foremost to Dr. GTI. Your friendship, technical help, and support has been a key factor in getting this channel up and running smoothly. Thank you so much. Thank you to my friend up north, Old Raven, and thank you Brian Joel, thank you Jen Matt, thank you Cassie, and thank you Corinne, aka Rosie, for keeping the community and the conversation alive on a daily basis. Thank you. Thank you to Caesar C, and congratulations on that stellar fantasy football run this year, my friend. Thank you D-Grade, thank you DoobieWa420, thank you Mitchell Wayne and the entire Wayne family, and thank you Nick Magnuson! It's an inside joke. And thank you and happy birthday to Nufo. And thank you to my dad and his wife for watching. Thank you to my friend Steel Fawn for his friendship and for writing an amazing theme song. Thank you to my cousin Geek Illuminati for keeping it real. Thank you to my best friend Pete Ramirez. You've been a great sport throughout the years, and unfortunately the target of many of my shenanigans, most of which are only funny through that wonderful lens of hindsight. Thank you for your support, and thank you for your friendship. You see, because when you punch a plate of nachos, at the time it's not funny. But years later, it's funny. And thank you most of all to the woman in my corner, the one by my side, the one who picks me up, the one who pushes me. Abusive relationship. Picks me up and pushes me. And sometimes within the next few weeks, she's going to be the mother of my child. Thank you, Brittany, for your support and your love. I love you. And that fucking laugh, right? And that fucking laugh. She's been trying so hard to keep quiet. All right. You might be thinking, but when are you going to get into the depressing political talk and history lessons? I know. Trust me. I did the research for all this stuff. And I could write a book on the stuff that I haven't done on this show today, for real. Like, I've left out so much. Like, I was even thinking of doing an entire show on the South African apartheid. Just by itself. I was so interested in that topic. But my brand is usually comedy. And if this is the first time you're watching one of my shows, trust me, I'm usually much funnier than this. But this is my attempt at doing something different and being an instrument of change and maybe, just maybe, be on that right side of history. But until then, here's something else. This is my ode to Ernie Reyes Jr. I'll do that again. That was funny. I must have been 8 years old when I first saw Ernie Reyes Jr. He couldn't have been taller than more than 4 feet, but to us, he was 50 feet tall. The us were my fellow second graders and I. The movie was Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. And Ernie Reyes Jr.'s performance was nothing short of viral years before the term would have any legs. For Reyes Jr. to even compete with the talent level in that movie is a testament to how powerful those tiny kicks were. Between breakout performances by Glenn Eaton's character Johnny Yu, Bruce Leroy, a hyper-aroused Vanity, who may or may not have begun the process of adding hair to my chest, and of course the legendary portrayal of Shonuff, played by actor Julius John Carey III. How did Ernie Reyes Jr. manage to be the breakout star? Probably because he kicks that much ass. Literally, Ernie Reyes Jr. was and is the real deal. There is something to be said about the genuine article. When you see it, you just know it. And people are drawn to its honesty. It's On the Road by Jack Kerouac. It's The Wire by David Simon. It's the art form and the artist and the absolute truth. It is Ernie Reyes Jr. Ernie went on to have a couple of epic scenes. He let Johnny out of the closet. He went between the big guy's legs. And he roundhouse kicked a fully grown man to submission. Ernie Reyes Jr. went on to star in many other projects, including the television show Sidekicks on ABC, the classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, and of course, Surf Ninjas. But Ernie was the real deal. Just by doing very, very little research on the internet, I found that Ernie Reyes Jr. also had a perfect strike horse fighting record, 4-0. It seems that Reyes was having kidney problems in 2015, and in 2022, Reyes revealed that he had a transplant and is now healthy, which is really good to know. I may not think of Ernie Reyes Jr. every day, and I don't know how often I'll watch The Last Dragon year after year. Maybe I'll get my daughter to watch it when she gets old enough. Maybe she'll watch and wonder as young Reyes Jr. steals the show. Maybe she'll develop a passion for martial arts herself and ask to learn judo instead of gymnastics, trade tumbling for taekwondo, and begin boxing, not ballet. Or maybe she'll say, "What's with the shitty video quality? When was this made? The 1400s? You're hell of old, Dad." Either way, I hope anyone who sees that film feels the same way that I felt when I first saw that film, which was empowered. The 8-year-old me believed no matter how short I was, no matter how young I was, that I too could feel 50 feet tall. I myself could leap directly over a full-grown man, and me as a little kid. I could roundhouse kick an adult human to near death. Ernie Reyes Jr. gave me that confidence. And that confidence transferred into the confidence to do anything, literally anything in life, became possible when Ernie Reyes Jr. Kick that man. I don't know if I'll ever get to meet the man in person. I don't know if he'll ever hear this message of mine, but I hope he knows how important he was in my life. I hope he knows that when we all got back to school that Monday after seeing that movie over the weekend, the kids on the playground, no one wanted to be Bruce Leroy, Shonuff, or Johnny U. We wanted to be Ernie Reyes Jr. Well, that about does it. Wraps her up. I hope you had fun. I hope you found the show entertaining and informative and maybe a little funny. Hopefully, I prevented at least one person from casting the wrong vote this election cycle. Maybe I gave you that perfect piece of ammunition to take down Trump supporters in the wild. Maybe. But I hope I made you think, at the very minimum. At the very least. And I hope maybe you or someone out there will be inspired to dig deeper for the truth and take action. And give Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon another watch. It holds up, I swear. My name is Westside, aka Johnny White, and this has been The Safety Meeting. As always, go outside, get that good sunshine on your skin, get that good air in your lungs, call someone you haven't called in a while, because it feels so good for you and them. I am out of here. Thank you, Britt. All right. It was a code word for taking a 420 work. A 420. It was started. Let's see, where was that? Figured the best bet I have to do. The best bet I have. All sites that I urge. Bow, bow, bow. Boom, bop. Boom, bop, the summer. I love you,